Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, September the 10th, and we are here to look at the new releases that are being set free this week. On Tuesdays, we look at mysteries and thrillers. Every day of the work week, Monday through Friday, we look at a different genre that are being published this week. And hopefully, you get some inspiration to check out some more authors or books, add to your TBR, because we're always trying to do that. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. I do them 3 times a week, every Tuesday and Thursday evenings and Saturday afternoons. Good morning, Kim. How are you doing? All right. These are mysteries and thrillers. First up, a book by Ragnar Jonasson. He is from Iceland. I actually saw him at a mystery convention when he published his first book. He was a very earnest young man. I'm sure he's gotten quite jaded now after several books later. This is called Death at the Sanatorium, 1983. At a former sanatorium in the north of Iceland, now a hospital ward, an old nurse, Ursa, is found murdered. Detective Hulda Hermannsdottir and her boss, Sverrir, are sent to investigate her death. There they discover five suspects: the chief physician, two junior nurses, a young doctor, and the caretaker, who was arrested following false testimony from one of the nurses but subsequently released. Less than a week after the murder, the chief physician is also found dead, having apparently fallen from a balcony. Sverrir rules his death as suicide and assumes he was guilty of the murder as well. The case is closed. 2012, almost 30 years later, Helgi Rekdal, a young police officer, has been studying criminology in the UK, but decides to return to Iceland when he is offered a job at the Reykjavik Police Department, the job which Detective Hulda Hermannsdottir is about to retire from. He is also a collector of Golden Age detective stories and is writing his thesis on the 1983 murders in the North. As Helgi delves deeper into the past and starts his new job, he decides to try to meet with the original suspects. But soon he finds silence and suspicion at every turn as he tries to finally solve the mystery from years before. And one thing I do recall him saying during his seminar was he's a huge fan of Agatha Christie. Good morning, Anita. How you doing? Did my usual yesterday, woke up and promptly went back to sleep. Oh, that sounds nice. Oh, okay. I'm glad they're able to have it though. It's nice to have it's a very cliched word, closure, but it is nice to have that. Did they ever find out any more about what happened? I had the door open for Keo and there's a little flying thing. The Mesmerist by Carolyn Woods. Before hypnotism, there was mesmerism, and in 1894, Minneapolis, in the wake of a national financial crisis, spiritualism is every stripe of all stripe is all the rage, and women are dying under mysterious circumstances. But until a new guest lands at the Bethany home for unwed mothers refusing to speak or explain her arrival, the sordid stories of unexplained death seems unconnected. Faith's reticence is quickly interpreted as malevolence, setting the house abuzz with whispers of dark magic. Abby, a staunch Quaker, lifelong supporter of progressive causes, and the Bethany Home's treasurer, thinks the rumors of mystical power swirling around Faith are nonsense, but she recognizes the danger of a good story. Unwilling to allow the home's important mission to be clouded by scandal, Abby tasks Faith's roommate, May, with tracing Faith's path to the Bethany home. May is desperate to end her year at Bethany home and engaged and on track to her happily ever after, even if her Prince Charming is Hal, a man she's not sure she can trust. She uncovers a Minneapolis she never expected as she begins digging into Faith's shadowy background, and her investigation brings her closer to polite society and Hal than she could ever have dreamed. The more May learns, the more she's forced to question the motives of everyone around her, including Abby and Faith. And as more women turn up dead, May must reevaluate the future she wants and which lies she's willing to tell for whom. Okay. Zetas Till We Die by Amber and Danielle Brown. Sisters for Life. It's been 10 years since Priscilla and her Zeta Phi Zeta sorority sisters graduated college. 10 years since they were all in the same room together. 10 years since one of them died. And now Lupe's killer has been released from prison on a technicality days before their 10-year reunion. Priscilla decides that the party must go on. Lupe would have wanted it to. And besides, an epic reunion bash might be the perfect distraction. Back together, the Zetas party like it's 2012, and it's wild, just the way it used to be. Maybe too wild. At least everyone makes it out alive this time, or so they think. When one of them doesn't return home after the party, Priscilla begins to realize that there might be more to Lupe's murder and that someone is out for blood. With the murderer in their midst circling closer and closer, the Zetas are forced to confront what really happened the night Lupe died and the secrets each of them swore to keep. And J.A. Jance has a new one. Yes, it is a new one. I double checked it. Book number 23 in the J.P. Beaumont series. Seems like she took a break. Sorry, needed some coffee. Former Seattle homicide cop J.P. Beaumont faces trouble in the small town of Ashland as both his personal and professional lives are thrown into turmoil. Beau's daughter and son-in-law are having marital troubles, and his grandson, a senior in high school, shows up on his doorstep wanting to live with Beau and his wife Mel as he finishes out the school year. Meanwhile, a friend from his past asks for Beau's help in looking into what appears to be an accidental death. A young man died of a fentanyl overdose, but those closest to him are convinced that he would never have used the drug and that something much more sinister has happened. Beau agrees to unofficially reopen the case, and his investigation leads him to uncover similar mysterious deaths that all point to a most unlikely suspect. As the case becomes more complicated than he could have imagined, and past and present mysteries collide, it will take everything Beau has to track down a dangerous vigilante killer. The result is an unforgettable read. Blah blah blah. End of row one. Isolation Island by Louise Minchin. It's a prize anyone would kill to win. 10 celebrities have arrived to take part in a grueling reality survival show, 2 weeks completely alone on a remote Scottish island in the depths of winter. With some careers on the rise and others whose star is fading, almost everyone has something to play for. But investigative journalist Lauren has one question. What does Hollywood megastar Nate Sterling have to gain by taking part? With a production team that seems incapable of keeping them safe, a gathering storm, of course, and the unrelenting gaze of hidden cameras, the contestants are stretched to the limit as they try to outshine their fellow competitors and hide their darkest secrets. But when a body is found, it's clear that the game has become a matter of life and death. Negative Girl by Libby Cudmore. Martin Wade lived hard in his youth, but unlike many of his former bandmates and roadie friends, he didn't die young. Instead, he hit the recovery path, cleaned up his life, and became a private investigator in a dying city in upstate New York. When his heavily tattooed and scarred assistant Valerie sets up an appointment with a young woman who needs help keeping her biological father away from her, none of the three realize that the father is Martin's old bandmate, still using and on a destructive path that will soon be headed straight for Martin's clean life. As Martin struggles, Valerie becomes increasingly obsessed with her new client's life. A bit vague, but. And a new book in Robert B. Parker's world, written by Allison Galen, 12th in the Sunny Randall series. This is the Robert B. Parker estate. After a near-death experience, Sunny Randall is ready to lighten her load as a PI, that is, until she's called upon by billionaire media magnate Bill Welch to investigate the disappearance of his son Dylan, the co-founder of the Gonzo Energy Drink Company. Lazy, unscrupulous, and a notorious partier, Dylan isn't exactly reliable. But Dylan's mother, Lydia, insists this time is different. She knows him. He's her son, and she believes he's in serious danger. Unable to turn down the Welsh's life-changing offer, Sunny takes on the case, starting off by befriending Dylan's smart young business partner, Sky, who seems like his polar opposite. Sky is bright, innovative, ambitious, and empathetic, yet surprisingly, she adores Dylan and desperately wants Sunny to find him. As Sunny traces the marks left behind by Dylan's past, she must unearth all the skeletons in his closet. She discovers not only his bad behavior with women, but also his reckless moves within the business world, producing an energy drink that, despite its marketing, has proven dangerous and even deadly. Still, Sky insists he's a good man. Who is Dylan, really? And why has he vanished? When bodies, start to pile up, Sunny must find answers quick before she and those she cares about get caught in the crossfire. That is called Buzzkill. Sick to Death by Andrew Welsh Huggins, an Andy Hayes mystery. After years of personal and professional turmoil, things are finally looking up for Columbus, Ohio private eye. Today is the day of private eyes. Andy Hayes. Andy is relishing his new gig, a drama-free, family-friendly stint as a guard at the Columbus Museum of Art. What could be better than regular hours, a steady paycheck, and an attractive coworker who may be just as interested in him as he is in her? Right on schedule, Andy's newfound equilibrium comes crashing down when he interrupts the theft of a painting by famed Ashcan school realist George Bellows and is promptly fired for breaking museum protocols. Helping him thwart the robbers is a young woman who Andy has caught staring at him several times at the museum. To his shock, she reveals she's an adult daughter he never knew he had, the result of a one-night stand during his misspent youth a quarter century earlier. But Alex Rutledge, about to enter the Columbus Police Academy, isn't looking for family time. She wants to hire her newly discovered father to find the driver who killed her mother Kate 5 months earlier in a still unsolved hit-skip accident. Even as Andy reels from this personal development, he uncovers troubling details about Kate's death that increasingly point toward murder and an angry anti-vax sentiment roiling below the surface at the hospital where she worked. Complicating Andy's case, he finds himself in the crosshairs of an FBI investigation into the attempted art theft. With time running out and his and Alex's lives on the line, Andy rushes to defend his reputation as a private eye and find Kate's killer. End of row 2. Felix Francis has a new one, Second Generation Horse Racing Mysteries. This is called Syndicate. Chester Newton has built his fortune organizing racehorse syndicates where top horses are co-owned and managed by several parties. These joint enterprises are high risk and high reward, and for Chester, it's almost always been reward. The stakes only get higher as the syndicates grow larger, and every race means the possibility of complete failure or ecstatic success. After an anxious morning waiting for the results of the Epsom Derby, the premier flat race in the UK, Chester has an afternoon of explosive triumph and an evening of total terror. Someone tries to take over one of his syndicates by force and by threats of serious harm to him and his family. For the first time in Chester's life, it's not just a horse race or money at stake. It's his life and the lives of his loved ones. The rest is the blah, blah, blah. So if you want to feeling nostalgic for those horse racing ones. The Shadow Key by Susan Stokes Chapman. This is more gothic than thriller, I think. Dismissed from his post at a prestigious London hospital, Dr. Henry Talbot has little choice but to accept a mysterious offer of employment as a private physician from an inscrutable lord in rural Wales, Lord Julian. Arriving at Plas Helig, the isolated estate, Henry can't speak the language and finds himself treated with hostile suspicion by superstitious villagers whose beliefs in myths and magic he's inclined to dismiss. But when he discovers that his predecessor died under peculiar, inexplicable circumstances, his determination to uncover the truth leads him down a path fraught with danger, made all the more perilous by his headstrong, reluctant ally, Lynette, Lord Julian's cousin. Lynette has lived a lonely life as Plashelig's unconventional mistress. Julian treats her with disdain. Her father is long dead, and her mother, long plagued by strange spells and believed by everyone around her to be deeply unwell, spends most of her time locked away in her rooms. Fiercely self-reliant, but she's locked in her rooms. Lynette refuses to wear women's clothes, has no interest in marriage, and takes an interest in the welfare of the men working in Lord Julian's mines against his wishes. Lynette has always suspected something is not quite right in the village, but it's only through Henry's dogged investigations that the dark truth about those closest to her will come to light. A truth that will bind hers and Henry's destinies together forever in ways neither thought possible. So if you want gothic, spooky adjacent for the spooky season coming up, perhaps that. The Swimmer by Loreth Ann White. Socially awkward Chloe Cooper divides her time between dog walking, bartending, caring for her ailing mother, and at a safe distance, watching people and inventing the stories of their lives. Like Chloe's new neighbors, glamorous influencer Gemma Spangler and Gemma's husband Adam, a renowned surgeon. They're attractive, wealthy, and in a house of open windows, so exposed. A move to the Pacific Northwest is supposed to be a fresh start for Gemma and Adam. It's a renewed commitment to a marriage fractured by secrets, a chance to work through the tragic losses in their past. For Gemma, however, this new beginning also comes with an unnerving sensation that she's being watched. You're right. Then, on a fog-shrouded beach early in the morning, Chloe witnesses the murder of a swimmer. Her suspicions aroused, she suddenly sees her neighbors in a sinister new light. But as a detective and her partner close in, nothing is quite as it seems, because the Spenglers are not the only ones with secrets, and Chloe isn't the only one who's been watching. Dun, dun, dun. The Truth You Told by Brianna Lebusque. Forensic psychologist Callum Kilkenny lost his wife Shay to the very serial killer he's hunted for 5 years. When Nathaniel Conrad, known as the Alphabet Man for his love of tattooing codes onto his victims' bodies, was condemned to death row, Callum thought the game of cat and mouse was over. But just before execution, Nathaniel drops a bombshell. He's not the one who murdered Shay. After analyzing the killer's taunting coded letters to authorities, one for each victim, FBI forensic linguist Reza Susanto believes him. The discrepancies bear it out. So was it a copycat, a partner in crime, or something more sinister? If Nathaniel knows the answer, Reza fears he'll be taking that closely guarded secret to his grave. As Reza and Colum are pulled into investigation to solve Shay's murder, it reopens old traumas that cut deeper than they could imagine. Before someone else dies, Reza must decipher the unbelievable truth in an ever-twisting case built on a foundation of lies. Now, I'm intrigued. They said a key word here, linguist, and that is intriguing to me. And I read Word Hunter that involved a linguist this just a little while ago, and that was good. I love that kind of puzzling. Last one, Without a Trace by Peggy Webb. Third in the Logan sisters thrillers. When Annie Logan travels to her mother's birthplace, she is shocked to discover a string of murders have recently taken place. And as she watches the local news, she realizes with horror that she bears an uncanny resemblance to each victim. Instantly, she knows this is no coincidence and that the killer they are calling Shadow is trying to send her a twisted message. And when Annie discovers a family connection between her and one of the victims, she feels more frightened than ever. Was it a mistake to return to this place, and is that why she's being targeted? Terrified, Annie journeys deep into Louisiana's bayou, hoping to escape the killer. But when a threatening note appears outside her remote cabin, she knows Shadow has followed her. And although she can't see anyone among the mosses and trees of the bayou, she knows that its thick mist can hide anything. Desperate, Annie reaches out to the only women who can save her, her sisters and her grandmother. But as the Logan women arrive, are they already too late to prevent the next attack? And can they stop a killer as elusive and twisted as Shadow? That's all we have there. Got about a minute left. Let's go back to our cozies. We'll throw in one of those. Poison in Piccadilly by Kelly Oliver, 6th in the Fiona Figg and Kitty Lane mysteries. And it doesn't say anything about it. It has all the blurbs. Look at that. It's all blurb. Here we go. 1918 London. Is Fiona Figg ready to exchange her sleuthing cap for a bridal veil? Fiona is set to tie the knot with her dashing flyboy Archie Summersby, but when Fiona is busy planning her happily ever after, sidekick Kitty Lane and a group of judo-chopping suffragettes are kicking up trouble at the Piccadilly Jiu-Jitsu Club. When Kitty is found unconscious in the locker room during a high-stakes competition, Fiona must forsake her bouquets and bridal gown to investigate. Her sleuthing leads to a posh ladies' luncheon where a mysterious death crashes Fiona's wedding plans. To make matters worse, the arch-nemesis of all things matrimonial, Fredericks, is up to his old tricks attempting to put the brakes on Fiona's journey down the aisle. Will he succeed in tripping up Fiona's wedding vows? Or will she finally say, "I don't," to the charming devil? Etc., etc. Oops. And that was the book I was talking about. Now we're over here. All righty. Thank you, Kim. Back at ya. Back at ya, baby. All right. Those are the mysteries and thrillers that we have for today. Tomorrow we'll be looking at romance. And on Thursday, we'll be looking at fantasy and science fiction. Friday will be freeform. We'll look at the leftovers. We have some leftover cozy mysteries, as you saw. And we'll look at anything else that kind of falls outside those genres. Hope you have a very good Tuesday. And yes, I do have sprints tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They go for 2.5 hours. I do them 3 times a week, every Tuesday and Thursday evening and Saturday afternoons. Hope you guys have a very good day. Read good books. Please take care of yourselves. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.